anyways, I just kind of want to go over everything, and maybe this will be helpful if you're interested in the school and maybe you have an interview and you just kind of want to know a little bit about what to expect or just my experience. Now a little bit about the application timeline. So I think I heard rumblings on Discord about a week or two before the application opened. So this would have been in like early October. I submitted my CASA application on October 9th, very similar to the other applications. So it doesn't take you much time if you've already applied to other schools. And then I got an email that they received my application on the 16th of October. And I think I submitted my application, I think a couple days later than when they opened, because I had a question. They had a minimum requirement. I was 1 point below that minimum score. And so I didn't want to apply and get like an automatic rejection. I just emailed and they got back to me in a couple days and they said they viewed the application holistically. I was interested in the school because they did their clinicals earlier than a lot of the schools. So that was just something I was interested in possibly considering. I know a lot of people have different preferences on when to start clinicals, but I wanted to have that option open and to just see what the school had to offer. I knew I was going to learn a lot from going to the interview. I got my interview invite by email on November 2nd. I heard some people that got it like the week before, and I know people that got it like the week after as well. So that's not like the only day people heard back. And I was very excited because at this point I only had one interview and I was waitlisted. And this was for Emory, spoiler alert. It was just amazing because I refreshed my email like a trillion times, like every day for like the past like 5 months or whatever. And so it was like just amazing to finally get a refresh that had some positive news. Oh my gosh, I'm sure a lot of people can relate to that. I got only one option for an interview day, and it was for December 7th. Next, I want to talk about like the lead up to the interview day. I think I had about a month between when I got the invite to my actual interview date. So it was great because I was able to plan a lot and get reasonable flight prices, reasonable hotel rates. Because I know some people at other schools, they've literally got like the invite a week before, less than a week before. One thing is, so as I said, I had finals the week before and the week after of the interview. So it was extremely hard to prepare. And to add to this, I did have another interview at NSU 2 weeks before the LSU interview. I was also having to prepare for that interview during this month. So it was a lot. And I would say I prepared so much for the NSU interview that I didn't do as much prep for the SLU interview. Like I did feel confident that I had practiced a lot, but I felt like I could have done a little bit more leading up, as well as I did get an acceptance to NSU. And I really loved that school. And spoiler alert, that's the school I'm going to. And so I didn't feel as much pressure to prepare. Oh, also, SLU actually gave so many amazing resources. To give an email with some attachments. So they gave like one with the hotels that would be good to stay at. They got one of a parking map, which is amazing. So like where to park and then where to walk to. And an official invitation letter, which also gave like some general information that you definitely should look over in a lot of detail, because they give like just a general flow of the day and kind of like how many rounds of interviews you'll have and that sort of thing. I'm sure it will change because I think they will change it since this is our first time doing interviews. Also, when I reached out with any questions, they were really good at responding in a reasonable amount of time, and they responded to all my emails. So I think that was really nice and like refreshing, because I feel like sometimes when I reached out to other schools, it was hard to necessarily get a response and a timely response. I know they're like super busy, but it was just really nice to have. But I was feeling good, obviously, because I have an acceptance, so like the pressure's off, right? And I was just feeling good about the school because, as I said, communication was great with the staff and they gave a lot of detail. So I feel like there was no anxiety about, where to go, where to park, the hotels, anything. So that was nice. So I was feeling like really positive about it. So my mom and I arrived at the airport Friday night. We actually stayed at a really cool hotel. It was the conference the hotel that had like a lot of conference rooms for WashU. So it wasn't related to St. Louis University. It was the WashU campus, but it was like really cool and like very collegiate. It kind of felt like Ivy League vibes. So now I'm just gonna walk through interview day. It took me so long to fall asleep in my previous interview nights. So this one I made sure I had my melatonin and I was able to fall asleep at a reasonable time. Woke up, got ready. The hotel had a breakfast, which was really nice. I think I have some videos and pictures of that. I was actually able to eat. In my previous interviews, I could hardly eat anything because I was so nervous. But like I said, I already had an acceptance, so I was feeling a little bit less nervous. I was still extremely nervous though. Of course, I also don't want my like stomach to be like growling or something, or like to be too hungry during my interviews. So I always make sure I eat. Called an Uber too early, of course. So got an Uber, drove there. It was a pretty drive. Like the scenery is definitely just interesting. I got there. He dropped me off like literally right next to the building, which was great. Freezing, so make sure you bring a jacket. And they like there's places to put your jacket, so don't worry about like having a big jacket with you. Like just bring the big jacket and bring like a purse or anything. Like there's plenty of places to put things. Like you don't need to feel awkward about that. My other interviews, it was a little bit more awkward to have a purse or something. You check in at the reception at the very front desk of the building, and then there's another desk like across that little hallway that you get actually checked in with the interviewers. A lot of people showed up very early too, so I was not the first person there. So the interview started at 8, and then I think I got there at like 7:30, and I think I walked in at like 7:40. So, and there were plenty of people there. So don't worry about showing up that early because there'll be people there. I don't think you need to show up that early though, just to clarify, like you don't. Everyone is super nice. We also, when we checked in with the interviewers, we received a little packet, and I'll show you. I would suggest for them in the future, have like something cool on the folder, like make it more interesting than just this. That would be kind of fun. They gave us these little interview cards that we had to pin on. It would have been cool if it would have been more like fun, like interesting. I don't know. Just a little tip. We got a sample of the fall 2025 schedule. I appreciated that, and they kind of went over this a little bit in the presentation. And then they gave the curriculum, and I even wrote down some of my notes during the presentations because honestly, that's one tip I'd give is 100% write notes during any of your interviews, especially during the presentations. Because honestly, I didn't do that for my first interview at Emory. You know, you're just like, you're so in the zone about the interview and in your head that it's hard to remember all the things. And I will go through the details of like the notes I wrote near the end of the video. So that is it. Tour was definitely the highlight of the interview process or the interview day. It was so fun. And the person that gave the tour, she was a practitioner, I think. So, but she had been at that hospital that we were touring at for so long, so she knew it really well and just the area very well as well, like the Missouri, St. Louis area. And she was just like so nice and so fun. And yeah, she was great. So it was a really amazing experience. We like took this underground tunnel from the like actual area of the program, like where we did our classes and the auditorium to the hospital. So there's an underground connection to the older part of the hospital, and then you walk over to the newer renovated part of the hospital, which is very nice. And so she gave us a tour. She even went to the top floor, and there was like amazing view of the St. Louis Arch. And then we like dressed up in these like, she called them bunny suits, and I'll like insert a picture of like what we looked like because it was hilarious. We did the tours of the ORs, and we went through like so many of them too. Like it wasn't just like one OR room. She like really went to like at least like 3 or 4 of them. And then we got to talk to some of the staff, and we must have looked so funny. And she took a photo of us, but they did not send out the photos. So that's kind of sad. But yeah, so it was fun. Don't go on your phone all the time. If for some reason you're sitting in a spot that's like not near people, move, just start moving, sit next to the people you want to talk to. Next, my first interview. Obviously, I'm not going to go into the details about what questions are asked and the vibes of like the actual interviews themselves. I'm sure they're going to kind of change the style because they gave us feedback sheets to fill out. My thoughts from the interview day. I was definitely exhausted by the end of it. And there were just like a couple like small details that I was like favored the NSU school over. So like, for instance, one of the things is they have like a skills lab, and you had to like be monitored by someone in the skills lab, whereas NSU, as far as I remember, they said that we could be in the skills lab anytime we wanted unsupervised. So, and that's different than the simulation lab where like the actual like very, very expensive equipment is. So obviously in that case, it always had to be supervised at both schools. And then they had this like little, I don't even know if you can call it a gym, but it was just like a room with a couple like gym equipments in the basement that was like not that cool. And NSU had like a legit gym that was like a reasonable gym. That's just a small thing, obviously. Even though I feel like I'm kind of highlighting negative things, I feel like it's going to be like an amazing program nonetheless. Like there are so many amazing things that I heard and saw during the interview. So I think it's very exciting to get more programs, and I really don't think you could go wrong with choosing any of the programs at all for anesthesiologist assistant school. So after the interview, it was fun. I went back to the hotel, and my mom and I went out to like a famous barbecue place. And I'm not like a big barbecue person, but that was really fun. Like I'll show a picture. It was like huge, like ribs. And then we went to this boozy ice cream shop that, like, as the name suggests, has like alcohol mixed with ice cream and things. And it was just like a really cute vibe. But the sad part is because we got out so late, it was like dark and late. And so like I wanted to do more things. I don't know, I had like all these ideas, but it was just so late. And I was just so exhausted too that I ended up not being able to really explore that much. But I did have a fun night nonetheless. And then the decision. So they actually let us know in the initial invitation we would get a quick decision. Sometimes I think the hardest part in the whole application journey is the wait game and not knowing when you're going to hear back or get more information. So my interview was the 7th, and then I got waitlisted. They sent me an email on the 12th of December. So that was, I think, the Tuesday after. At the very end of the interview, they let us know that they're going to do one more round of interviews in January. So they'll have the class finalized by end of January or something like that. That's what they said. So if you're on the wait list, you'll kind of know at that point whether you are off the wait list or not. And they're not taking very many students. So this is kind of the craziest part. They got about 700 applications. There are 45 people interviewing, and then they're only taking 15 students. You're interviewing 45 out of 700. That is a 6.4% interview invitation. Okay. And then they're only taking 15 out of 700, which is literally crazy. So let's see, which is a 2.1 acceptance rate. My gosh. So I'm feeling very grateful to just even get an interview, honestly. And let's see your chances of getting acceptance from the interview. Basically a 33% chance of getting acceptance from the interview. Those are crazy numbers, and I don't even know what to say. Thank you for watching the video, and I hope this is helpful. And I loved watching interview vlogs or just videos about the interview days for med school or other programs. So I'd love to do that for the AA program, and I hope other people in the future will do it as well. I'll do more videos, so stay tuned for those. Bye. Thank you.